Welcome back to the 904wed.com wedding planning podcast. Joining me today is a very real bride who you have already met, Amber Flowers, and right above her is Ann LaFiles of Premier Bride of Northeast Florida, the magazine, the expo that you all know and love so well. We are in the middle of Amber's wedding planning, and if you've been following us along through all the episodes so far, you know exactly where she is. She's had at least one engagement party so far. There's another coming up. She's already picked out her dress. Right now, we're going to check in with Amber and find out where she is this past week, what she's been up to when it comes to your wedding. Amber, how's it going? Is it staying stress-free for you?
I mean, I would like to admit that it's staying stress-free, but we also just got done moving in fully. So I think that I'm stress-free, but stretched to the limits on it.
Hopefully you will be fully moved in by the time your wedding comes around. I think that was a smart decision, getting moved into a brand new house, brand new marriage coming up here that next year, next April. So good for you. I think that's great advice for anyone out there getting married. Move in early. Don't do it the week before. Don't do it the month before. Get all that stress.
Because you get bruises. Nobody wants bruises either.
That's right. So you had an active role in your moving, but let's talk about how your wedding is moving along right now. What are you in the middle of?
Oh gosh, there's so many things on top right now. Now I'm starting to really focus on the budget, stay in the budget, and also setting up the photo shoot. Chris and I are now setting up a full photo shoot, and we're traveling to Georgia. So that's on the top of my list right now.
And why the full photo shoot? For some of the people that maybe haven't been following along, you guys haven't really taken any engagement photos yet. Together without being at your engagement party that you had on July 4th. But why is that important to a bride?
I think it really truly depends on the bride. For me, it is really important. Chris and I, being that in July, we actually also celebrated our 1 year. So we haven't had real photos done at all. And so I think it's important and to me, because these are something, obviously, I think a photo tells a story. And when you find a great photographer or photographers, I like to tell a story in photos. And as you know, being in photo shoots that I have and doing the hair and makeup for them, you really want to create what is coming through that lens. So I want that to be captured in our love and have it very organic. And it's really important to me. So when I say we're traveling, we're also traveling to his hometown and taking pictures around there. So it's going to be nice. Yeah.
And how will you use these? Do you already have plans, or you're going to kind of wait to see how these turn out?
I love that we just are touching on that subject right now, because going through and kind of interviewing, if you say photographers, because you really have to have the importance of a photographer is having this connection with them, that you want them to understand and see your vision, but also really do your research with it, because they have I like to say this, I mentioned this in previous episodes, but they have this mood when they shoot, and that has to really click. And so, I don't know if I answered the question completely without forgetting the rest of it, but what was it? Wait a minute, say that again.
Well, we were talking about what you're going to do with the pictures and why this is important.
What I'm going to do, that's why I forgot. Sorry. There actually is a chicken right here, and its feathers were blowing, and my attention just went bloop. So what am I going to do with them? And the importance of touching on that subject was, so when you see these packages come from photographers, you see, 1,000 edited or 500 edited photos. And for me, I don't need that. I don't need this big book on a coffee table for me personally. So I don't need 1,000 edited. I don't want this folder that's going to be on Facebook that people look through. No, just give me 50 solid good ones, and the rest of them are going to be presents to the family members, people that attend. It's a great thing for after the wedding, for thank yous, to go in there. If you can actually personalize that and have that album, or even have an online one, you could send to them. So for me, that's where I wanted to do the personal touch on that. I want a great party picture. I love where everybody's I don't like traditional sticky pictures. That's what I call them. Like, okay, we're here, we're posed. Like, it's so awkward. So I really was on a search for a photographer that could capture that. So the importance of it, there you go. What am I going to use it for? I'll probably have a few of them up the staircase because I now have one, you know, in this new house. I have a staircase.
You got some decorating to do with these pictures, but I got to ask, Anne, is this a chance for brides and grooms to try out different photographers? Do you recommend that this early on? Use engagement photo shoots and everything to try people out before you lock yourself into the wedding photographer themselves?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people definitely, you know, use different photographers for their engagement photos, and then they use different photographers for their weddings. Sometimes you just pick a different one because you're looking for a different style, but it is an excellent way to try out if you like the photographer, because the photographer and you, personality-wise, really have to get along, because they're going to be with you all day long. And they need to be able to make you laugh. They need to be able to make you smile. They kind of have to know your personality, because they're capturing, you know, the biggest day of your life thus far. And so it is really important to like your photographer. Absolutely.
Very true, yeah.
So engagement photos, great run through to see if, you know, because you're only with them for a couple hours, not the whole day. So
true. And Amber, is that your plan, to kind of try a couple different styles, a couple different photographers, and then pick one of those for your wedding day, or you have a different strategy here?
No, that is exactly the plan. I think it's really important to do that. Also, you are doing a test run, and if you really do your research on it, you can, you know, some of them charge by the hour, and that's great if you already have your style picked out. And also, just like Anne said, they're going to be with you all day. And this is a day, if they can, your emotions are going to be they're going to be very high. And you want somebody to not really capture your ugly cry face, because we all have them. And, you know, and also look at your timeline. A photographer is going to give you a timeline. And I've worked many, and you know this, many weddings where you're like, okay, is this a 12-hour day? Personally, for my situation, I don't want a photographer with me all day.
Right.
But I am a little OCD with things, so I would create a timeline and say, okay, once my eyebrows are on straight and my lashes look good, come on in, you know. I don't need you to come on in where I'm like, it's first thing in the morning. I am trying to eat something, because we all know, I mean, it's very difficult to eat. We say we're all going to do it. And so finding a photographer that can match your energy and understand it, that is very important. And I believe in having multiple photographers on your wedding day. I think it's extremely important, but you also have to think, to me, I want a really great videographer. It's something that I want to be passed down. I know this coffee table book is really important, but I'm going to send a little, all my bridesmaids are getting little that they have to send in, right? And I want this all to be involved in this video. I want this to be passed down to, you know, with my children, to their children, because, you know, we're young and we're getting married. And I want to say, like, hey, our parents were really cool. Like, hey, this is what we really did look like. It's not a frozen picture to me. It's very important. But when you get to see the energy of your closest friends and family talking and saying little few clips about you, or funny, embarrassing stories, I want that.
Now, I gotta ask, are you bringing a videographer along as well for any of this to test one out, or how are you going to figure that out as well?
That's actually a really, really good question. I thought I was being crazy with this, but I really wanted that. Like, I wanted a videographer to be a part of the engagement photo shoot. Now, I also am going to have one in Jacksonville at the venue that we're going to take pictures there. And that's actually going to be a different photographer. Wow. So, yeah, because we are going to Georgia. So I found one in Georgia. Thank God. Who wants to pay? Travel's not cheap. And not many people want to travel. You know, like, they just don't. So, and not many hotels want to take people right now. It's very limited. You know, different floors, different hotels. Anyway, that's what I'm dealing with. But a videographer will be at one of them. And where's my final decision on my videographer. I have not found one yet.
So you got some big decisions to make. I don't envy you, but let's talk about first for brides out there, like where do we even start when it comes to finding photographers? We know you can go to Anne's Bridal Expo. You're going to see a handful of photographers and videographers there each time. So that's a great place. But how did you find the one in Georgia? Any tips or suggestions, any lessons learned there?
Take advantage of the good of social media. It does. There's so many benefits to social media. So if I'm going on, I personally use Instagram. You have your wedding wire and a lot of paid for kind of places to put you on the top of the list. On Instagram, I hashtagged where I was going, and then it popped up, and right underneath you see the location, right? It will show you, like, if you were going to, for example, Chandler Oaks. You could click on that, and everybody that has checked in there, you see all these photos. So I clicked to where we were going, to the location, and I just scrolled through. And I saw professional. You go to the most recent or the most liked. You have that option. This one happened to be the most liked. And I scrolled down, and I found a photographer, excellent reviews, amazing photos, and something that I was looking where I want to take these photos. This photographer has already scoped out the area, clearly is experienced in there. I decided to go with that. And you hashtag everything. Seriously, you really do. And that's the importance of also branding. If you want, or your wedding hashtag. If my friends are hashtag, I click on it, and guess what?
Ooh.
I see pictures that not my photographer or my videographer or any of this captured, my silly friends, and I'm like, oh dear. Oh man. And sometimes it's even the servers. You're not supposed to have your phones out, but dang, I've seen some great pictures that are not a part of it. And I'm like, at different events that I've attended. I'm like, this is good.
Marlatt AF, right? Marlatt AF.
Marlatt AF.
That's right. That is the hashtag official, right, of this wedding coming up. And what advice do you have to give for brides and grooms out there when it comes for picking out videographers, photographers? They're all so different. What would you advise people to look at when it comes to style and technique differences?
I really think wherever a bride or groom is listening from this, because we could have people listening to this podcast from California. I really think that expos are a great way to go because you are going to get exposed to a lot of photographers and videographers at an expo. And it's a very low pressure situation because there's a lot of people there. So you're going to be able to look, and they're going to have all these pictures displayed all over their booth. And they're going to have video screens going up with the videos. And if you like what you see, you can talk to them. And then you get a little taste for their personality, right? So you're like, okay, I like what I see. I like the person that I'm talking to. I'm going to book a session with them, or I'm going to, set up a time where we can have a meeting and talk about the next step. So it's a great way to kind of feel everybody out. Magazines and websites, PremierBrideFlorida.com are another great way to be able to scroll through, because websites now have options where you can click on the videos that the vendors submit. You can also see a portfolio of their photographs that they submit for those websites. So it's another way that you can see their work, scrolling your bed at 2 a.m. if you can't sleep, favorite them and move on from there. So, just doing your research, looking online, checking out their websites, checking out their social media sites, finding them on a professional site. I really, really, really want to push that you do find your vendors either at a expo or advertising, because if a wedding vendor invests in their business and spends money advertising, you really do know that they are probably a serious wedding vendor, somebody who takes their job and their profession very seriously, because they spend money advertising to meet brides and grooms. So, although we can't guarantee it 100% of the time, because you do find, those crazy wedding stories of vendors that went AWOL, most of the time, it's not vendors that are at the expos or at the magazines that are spending money advertising their business, because this is their livelihood. So it's a great place to start. You know, if you look on, low budget, ways of advertising, or, you're just going off recommendations, sometimes those people can be weekend warriors. They might
Yes.
not do it professionally. They might not do it full time, and you don't really know what you're getting. So starting with a place where it's a paid advertising situation at least gets you one step above, because then you're
Right.
dealing with a professional.
So you have someone joining us, Amber, who we haven't met before. Who do we have there?
He's going to be in the wedding. This is my Sir Frank Carter. Yeah.
Aww.
I finally have him now because he was at my mom's for a while due to COVID, going up and down the elevator and all that, because the elevator actually shut down after the week we found out. So on 14 floors, walking him down to take him out was actually a bit difficult.
You had to walk up and down 14
Good to meet him.
stairs.
Wow.
Yeah, so he just made his appearance and he's gone. Yeah. He's Frank Carter. Frank Carter's gone. 14. I finally invested into a hiking backpack because I would have to go grocery shopping. And
wait, you never said this before, Amber. You mean your high-rise shut down elevator service, and you guys were on the 14th
so we
floor?
have, I think, like 22 floors, maybe 24, and 4 elevators. But one of the elevators is obviously for moving and anything back and forth. So they only had one elevator open to certain floors if they were handicapped or anything like that, which I don't know how they programmed that, but let's just say that's what happened. And 14 floors up and down every day. And he goes out, 3-4 times a day.
This is because of COVID?
That's what they said, yes. Because the 6 feet apart sort of thing, you couldn't because of the elevator. And you couldn't actually control that or sort of even keep that under control, because if it is 22 or 24 floors, you don't know how many people are going to be on the elevator. So they shut them down. Yeah.
That stresses me out.
So
but talk about a workout regimen.
So everybody's touching the handrails as they're dragging themselves up.
Oh, yeah, I caught it. I said that. I'm like, this makes no sense. This is like a hot box of COVID if somebody has it. Like, really, truly, didn't make any sense. So they did, after about 2 months, I would say.
2 months?
Let me tell you, though. I'll tell you. You want to know something?
Buns
I want to sit there and hate. There you go. I was like,
you got buns of steel walking up
all of a
and down
sudden, my booty decided to lift a little bit. I was looking in the mirror. I was like, oh my, it's up. Like, okay. All of a sudden, these things called calf muscles I never even knew I had. I flexed my tippy toes, and I'm like, there is a lump in the middle of my calf. Like, this is a lump. This is a muscle. It's good.
But now you're in a home. Now you're in a home. 1 or 2 stories, but a lot fewer stairs now to deal with every day.
Yeah, a lot fewer stairs. That's true. And I actually get to walk in for the first time. When you park the car in the garage, I get to actually walk into a home. And that has not been in probably 5 years.
Wow.
So it's like, I lived in a condo prior to moving to Orlando. So, and I loved it, but not with COVID.
All right, so I have to ask the uncomfortable question. How are we doing on your budget right now? What are some of the budget busters? Are you coming in under anywhere? Anything new on the budget that we need to talk about?
That's interesting because moving in, now I have a decor budget. And I am obsessed with interior design. I love it. It's something that I've always loved, like a little secret side of me I really have always loved. So now I'm shopping. Am I on budget, and how am I doing with it? I have this thing called a distraction of moving into a new home. So I have a different budget. So I've put a little bit of spending on the wedding on pause, because now it's about stuff coming into the mail and getting everything together. Obviously, my vision board, right behind me. You can see some of the stuff that I'm going to be over here. Wait, here. It's opposite. Somewhere over back there. I don't know. Where are you? Okay. So I actually started to collect these things that I have this vision and saving on that. I'm using spray paint. I'm using stuff. Now, am I going to be doing all of my tables? No. But I'm going to show, I know a price point in Florida you order some of these things online, and they're just priced crazy. Like a bundle is 3, and it's for $26. Or if you're ordering it from China, or if you order on Etsy, like whatever you're deciding, it's just astronomically priced. Until you go to a local professional and you bring them, and they're going to work with you. These are dead flowers, so I'm making them and showing them, bringing them to different florists. I'm staying in budget, to answer your question, Wes. Yes, but I'm figuring out little alternative ways to make sure I stay in them, and that is
I got to stop you right there. Did you just say you're going to design, kind of mock up some of your own floral arrangements, and then take them to a professional and let them kind of see if they can replicate it, take it up a notch? What's the strategy there?
Yes. Well, I just don't want to do all the tables and all that. I think that is something that brides try to do, and the importance of hiring a professional, because it is so stressful. You're going to have your bridesmaids drop them off, or the mother or a friend or whoever drop them off, and then it's your day of coordinator, or if you don't have one, who is that going to be left up to? You don't want to worry about it. So I like to mock up something and say, this is exactly what I really want on table 1 through 5, and then whatever you decide. And then on the main table, here you go. This is what I want, and this is the vision, because it's really difficult in my situation, because I'm getting married in something that is considered a barn, but it's once you go in, it's not. It's just, I don't want to make it rustic. So yes, I'm sort of doing my own vision, and I'm bringing it to a professional that I trust and say, hey, this is what I really, really, really am wanting. And then she can probably say, hey, listen, we should add this. It needs more of this or that. And I'm all for it.
And I got to ask the dumb question. How does this turn into a savings?
How does it turn into a savings? Well, because I'm pricing it out also what it is. No,
Okay.
It doesn't count, because I'm actually asking my neighbor if I can borrow a palm and cut it up. No, but a lot of the things that are online to order are from Florida. I live here. So, and even some of the florists that I have talked to, they're like, oh, we get that in our backyard. We do this. So I know what the cost is on it. And that's not saying what the cost is as, with their cost. I know that if they have it in their inventory, I know what it is. But I'll clip all the trees you want right now. I have a full lake right across that is just growing like crazy, and I just need to dry them out. So if you would like to use them, great. If not, I'm going to take some of them with me to decorate my home too. But here's the thing. I'm not using a lot of fresh flowers. So there's one specific flower that we were talking about, the garden rose, and they are pricey, but I'm also saving a lot by the flowers behind me. There's cotton right there. You see a palm leaf over here. I keep messing this up. Why can't I get this right? Here. So, yeah, I think it is also saving. Even though I know a lot of people in the business, that doesn't mean, listen, okay, here's another thing. This is a very important point.
Preach.
Being in the business, I will preach. Let me spill the tea. Hold on. If within your budget, and just like Ann said, if somebody's paying for advertising and doing it that way, do not think that you can do everything that way. What you get is what you pay for, truly. And I've heard horror stories at times where, oh, this person was this much money and it was just a disaster. Yes, that does happen. But when you hire a professional and you are in the zone to do that, and it's in that budget, know if you're very specific with them, you're actually probably going to get exactly what you want and not spend too much money. But put your money out there and you're going to get it back in exactly your vision. If you want a dollar store vision, you're going to get it. And there's nothing wrong with that, but don't expect it to be a crazy, extravagant, centerpiece or vision when you don't have that in your budget.
Right.
Is that bad for me to say? I don't know.
No, you're speaking the truth. You're speaking the truth, and there is nothing wrong with that.
I think that sometimes that some of the brides, it's okay to have. Listen, if you only have a $5,000 budget, know that is perfectly fine. It is fine. Don't try to have the Taj Mahal of things. Know that that's what your budget is, and if you're honest with it, every single one of the vendors will work with it. that you're going to hire. Every single one of them. I promise you that. I know that.
Well, let me bring up a budget buster and get Anne's opinion on this because I know it's going to come up for you. And that's, what is in your bridesmaid budget when it comes to their jewelry and their dresses, and what are you paying for versus what are you asking them to pay for? There are no standards, I know, Anne, but what advice do you have to give, brides and grooms when it comes to bridesmaids budgets and how that's going to impact the overall budget, of course, as well?
Right. Well, I guess it depends a little bit on the dress, first of all. If you're going to let the bridesmaids pick out their own dress and kind of have their own flexibility, I think that maybe you don't necessarily have to pay for their dresses. Now, I know a lot of brides don't pay for the dresses anyway. It used to be a big tradition. It's not that way so much anymore. But if you're one of those brides who is going to, make a bridesmaid spend $500 on a bridesmaid dress, and you're not going to pay for it, then I think you need to budget to pay for possibly their hair, makeup, and jewelry. I think that that's just common courtesy. I think that, asking your bridesmaids, especially if they have to travel out of state, if they have other costs, I think that a bride kind of has to be a little aware of the cost that it is when you ask a bridesmaid to stand up with you. And it also depends on where people's lives are too. For girls who are just getting out of college, maybe they don't have jobs yet, maybe they're still in college, you might have to be a little bit more mindful of the budget than if you might be getting married later on in life and your friends all have established careers where, spending the extra money on hair, makeup, and dresses isn't such a big deal. So, I think that it's nice if the bride lets the bridesmaids pick out their dress. You can be a little bit more lenient, I think, on the budget. Dresses range anywhere from $50 to $600. I mean, there is absolutely no median price point. Amber can answer the hair and makeup. Brides and makeup and hair is going to cost more than the bridesmaids. Usually, you can do a face of makeup, $50 to $120, depending on who the makeup artist is. Hair is usually about $70 to $120, depending on who your artist is. And then when it comes to jewelry, I think jewelry is the best gift that the bride can give the bridesmaids, because it's something that you're kind of controlling what they're going to wear. So if you have friends that like to be super out there and wear really crazy things and you don't want that showing up in your picture, then make sure you give them jewelry that you want them to wear. And then that jewelry is something that they can keep. So, and if you make it nice and something that they want to wear later on in life, that's even better. It's a great gift that the brides can give their bridesmaids, in my opinion.
Yes, I agree.
So, Amber, where do you fit into the spectrum here? What are your plans?
So I agree with the jewelry. I've been in weddings where somebody has actually, as I was a bridesmaid, somebody brought their own jewelry and she decided to take care of the hair and makeup bride. And she gave sort of a little tiny board of what jewelry to wear. And someone brought a big crystal choker and I almost passed out. I was like, you just can't wear that. That's just not happening. It's not even my own wedding and I'm being bossy, but just please don't wear that. Yes, as Anne said, where the hair and makeup is very important. The jewelry is very important. My budget, I've actually got really lucky with the, because my color is black for the bridesmaids, but the texture and the fabric is really important too. It photographs. If you put them in velvet, to be honest with you, it's the best to photograph, the best. It photographs excellent. So I went with I actually can say it, Lulu's is where I'm getting my bridesmaids dresses. And I just made a board and said, here you go. It ranges, it's the same fabric and it ranges from, $65 to $89. And I even said some of my girls, and I told you this in the previous episodes, I just don't want, I have tattoos. Hello, I have plenty of tattoos. I don't want them showing. And my bridesmaids know that. And so some of the expensive dresses, that are under $100, that they are going to be a little bit more fabric and it's going to cover their tattoos. So
problem solved.
Their jewelry, problem solved. And I agree with the jewelry. I'm going to give them something that's a little bit personal, that they are, I'm a minimalist. I don't like a lot of jewelry. So wear some studs. I have a bracelet that's being made for all of them. And it has a cute little saying on there and underneath where the wrist is. And that's it.
That doesn't surprise me to hear that at all, Amber, that you've got something special and personal being made for your bridesmaids.
Oh, there actually will be here in 2 weeks, so I will share them. I've been waiting. I knew I was going to do this, so I'll share them with everyone.
Great idea. Speaking of things that you're sharing, the registry conversation that we had on our last episode or so, where do you stand on that? What decisions did you end up making there?
That's actually, I am back and forth on this because I know that we talked about, like, if you do register, then is it a gift per person? I know that, you at least should do that. So we did go with Amazon. I know we have one with Pottery Barn. And again, we just moved into a new home. So there are things that we have a magnet now on the refrigerator that we're taking notes to put on that are things that we're going to need. But is it wrong to not put that much on the list? And then say, I don't want 12 knife sets or, 10 cheese boards, but do people typically bring gifts? Is it rude to say, hey, gift cards are fine. Like, I don't know. And then, the one that we looked into was the honeymoon. But right now we can't make a decision on a honeymoon just right yet. So we can't put that on anything. So
that's still a possibility. And what advice do you have to give Amber there?
Yeah, remember you did say something of that. Like, is it rude to ask for I'm not asking for
no, you don't
cards.
You don't ask for gift cards, but if you're not going to put a lot on your registry, then people will probably give cash and gift cards. And a lot of people just prefer that anyway because it is the easiest. They don't have to order something. They don't have to wrap it. They don't have to bring it. Amazon makes it easy where you just ship the present directly to you guys. So they point, click, add it to their cart, pay now, and it heads right to you when they're shopping on your own registry. So it does make it easy. But if you don't put a lot of stuff on there, people will want to give cash anyway. Or gift cards. It's a pretty traditional wedding gift right now.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that's good.
And hopefully all your guests listen to the podcast. So they'll be like, I remember when Amber
They're all going to know. They're all going to know exactly what you expect here, right?
It's going to be on the website. I'm putting the podcast on the website. Like, here you go. You have any questions? Listen. Tune in.
Yeah. I love it. Well, listen, we are running out of time on our podcast, but I've got to ask one crazy question right now. We haven't talked at all about cake, right? Which is kind of a big deal for a lot of people, right? Where do you stand on that? And when should people start looking at cake, right? And doing tastings there and all the decisions that it comes to make around dessert and all the alternate things out there besides cake?
Well, cake bakers do book up, and a lot of cake bakers are really small businesses. So they might not be able to handle multiple weddings in the same weekend or the same day. So starting a cake process early is always a good thing because you want to make sure that you're not going to have scheduling conflicts, especially if you're going to go with a local smaller baker. If you're going with a larger baker like a Publix, they're going to be able to handle mass volume. So you can probably order that a little bit closer to the wedding and not have to worry about it so much.
So Amber, let's put you on the hot seat. Where do you stand right now on this?
Well, knowing that I just started the training, doing all the training, I'm not doing the tastings yet. Okay, we ain't gonna go there. And you know what? I know that. Okay, can we save this for the next one? I'm feeling a little. I'll drop a little bit more tea. I'll take the last sip of tea and drop a little more. Okay.
Uh oh. She's spilling some more tea, y'all.
So, I have somebody that's making the cupcakes, and I love the cupcakes, but she really wants to make the cake. But I think I like someone else to make the cake, but the cupcake person thinks she's making the cake already. This is no contract, nothing yet. But she really was very forward about and adamant about making the cake. However, she's great at everything, but the kind of cake I want is not what she's gonna do. I feel bad for saying this. Okay, and then I have a cake person that knows she's gonna be making the cake, but they don't know yet about each other. And this is where it just gets difficult.
The drama.
So much for that saying, you can have your cake and eat it too. That is not going to happen here.
Don't put a cake in front of me if I can't eat it, dang it. Like, seriously.
Well, we will find out more about that, I'm sure, on future episodes. Amber, good luck to you on your upcoming week of wedding planning as you start to kind of get back into the rhythm here.
Yes.
We will be checking in with you every week. If you are following us on this podcast, please be sure to subscribe so you get the latest updates and alerts every time we push a new podcast out as we follow Amber on her wedding journey week in and week out. It's coming up. We are getting closer every week as we near next April. So thank you, everyone. Amber, thank you so much for your time this week. And
thank you
you as well. I know we've got more wedding expos to talk about coming up as well. Take care, everyone, and we will see you on our next episode.